Hey guys, my name is Lilly and today I want to give you an update what's going on here in Europe and especially in Austria, which is my country. So the first news that I want to show you is this one here. So now unfortunately fentanyl has arrived in Europe. So here it's saying that 80,000 Americans are dying each year from an overdose of fentanyl. And apparently this is 50 times stronger as heroin. Yeah, and now unfortunately we have this coming to Europe. So until now it's only 200 deaths a year in Europe, but the deaths are rising. So unfortunately this is now coming to Europe as well. I hope they will never make this drug legal. I don't think drugs like this should be legal at all, because you have no chance. It's so addictive, you just have no chance. If you take it, you're already addicted, so I don't think it's a good idea to make this drug legal. And I think it's legal now in Canada, is that right? So that's really shocking. How can a government make a drug like this legal? You cannot make this legal, it's really not good. Okay, next topic. The digital ID is on the march here in Europe. So now if you go to the dentist and you have the digital Austria ID app, you're getting 100 euros as a present. But only if you have the digital identity app. So they want to push people into this digital ID thing. And a lot of people in Austria are still not aware what this all is about. So they just say, hey, it's convenient. I have all of my driving licenses on my phone and all my IDs. Now the thing is that it will not stay with IDs. They also say in one of those other articles that you can even conduct business with your digital ID, which is on your phone. So what they have planned for us is they will put a digital currency into your wallet, into your e-wallet on your phone. And that digital currency is actually programmable. So they can now say, oh, you can only purchase this and this with your digital money. And they can also put an expiry date on your money. And that's really crazy. And then next here, they also write that you can use this digital ID not only to communicate with the government, but also with notary services and insurances. So now insurances, which are actually private companies, can access your digital ID and the data on it. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who do not really care about their data, but I care about it, and this is why I'm not going to download this digital ID system. Okay, the next topic is more and more soldiers quit their job at the Austrian army. Yeah, they are getting better working conditions in the private sector, so this is why most of them are leaving. And also down here it's saying that more and more young men, they are opting for community service instead of military service. So here in Austria we have mandatory military service, but you can opt out of the military service and say you want to make community service. So then you are with the first responders, for example. So yeah, it really seems as if young men, they really do not want to fight in any war because it's actually just a meat grinder and nobody wants to die. Okay, next. Birth rate is dropping tremendously in Germany. The Federal Institute for Population Research in Germany reports a remarkably strong and very sudden decline in the birth rate. So in 2021 the birth rate was still at 1.57, but now in 2023 it fell down to 1.36 children per woman. This is the lowest level of birth rate since 2009. Here you can see this chart of the birth rates in Germany, how it's dropping here. So researchers are baffled. Okay, next let's talk about electric cars for a second. So actually the European Union, the Commission, had planned to not allow any new vehicles with combustion engines from 2035, and they wanted to rely 100% on electric cars. So that was the plan of the European Commission, but only actually because, as we all know, electric cars are now to blame for the fact that nothing comes of it. And apparently there's a list which exists in Brussels, and it was recognized that electric vehicles are not climate neutral vehicles, and they themselves contribute to harmful CO2 emissions. It's saying right here. And yeah, I think that's a win. That's a win for freedom, that's a win for the people, and that's a good thing. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, next. The European Union wants to invest 55 million US dollars of our tax money in precision fermentation startups. So they basically want to decouple the food production from soil. So they don't want you to grow anything in soil here anymore because they say it's not sustainable, efficient, or resilient. And they want to minimize the environmental impact, including water pollution. So basically they want us to stop farming, and instead they want to have some meat which is coming from the lab with alternative proteins without using animals. Yeah, so we Austrian people, the majority does not want to eat meat that comes from a lab. But now suddenly a new survey has emerged which is saying that Austrians want to eat lab meat. So according to the survey, 63% of Austrians want to eat laboratory meat. And when I saw this article, I was really surprised because I don't know one person who wants to eat this crap. And I live in Austria, so I know a lot of Austrians. Now, actually, politicians and also the farmers' union were really shocked about this study because they just know it's not right. Actually, they only have asked 1,000 people on behalf of a think tank which is called the Good Food Institute Europe. So I'm really wondering who is funding this institute. Now, after this article was published, there actually was a huge backlash. So a lot of conservative politicians said that they don't believe the study, they find it very skeptical, and also they say that there's a huge industry lobby behind laboratory meat and they basically just want to make money. And then one of the most popular newspapers made their own survey. Thousands of people, they have conducted the survey, and here's the real answer of the Austrian population. So 84% of the Austrians don't want to eat meat that comes from a lab, and only 16% would try it and eat laboratory meat. So that's the real survey, and this is, yeah, I think also a democratic vote. If 80% or more than 80% say no, then it should be no. Okay, then we should not be producing this meat. Next, in this article, they said how the lab meat is actually grown. So for the production of laboratory meat, you need stem cells that are obtained from the muscle tissues of a living animal. In the laboratory, the cells are enriched in a container with a nutrient solution in order to multiply them. A growth serum is also necessary. So they actually need blood from a calf fetus, and both the fetus and the mother die during the extraction of this blood. So they still have to kill animals for the lab-grown meat. And they extract the blood while the fetus is in the mother cow. How cruel is this? How is this not a crime? This is insane. This is insanity. This should be illegal in every country of the world. Okay, the next big topic is this one here. The crime rate in Austria is rising. So on this chart you can see that 45% of the crimes conducted in Austria are conducted by foreigners who don't have the Austrian passport. 55% are conducted by Austrians. Now, unfortunately, they do not really distinct this statistic between actual native Austrians and migrant Austrians who have gotten the Austrian passport. So, yeah, it would be interesting to see that, but the left don't want to release this data. I wonder why. So here you can see the nations which are committing the crime here in Austria. On the top is Romania, Germany, Serbia, Syria, Hungary, Turkey, Slovakia, Afghanistan, Bosnia, Croatia. I have to say, most people that are coming here to Austria are fine people. Austria was a very attractive country. It attracted a lot of migrants, and a lot of migrants came here and they actually integrated into society. They have become a valuable member of society, and most of them, they just want to find a job and work and pay taxes. So most of the migrants that are coming to Austria are great and fine people. I know many people from all of those countries. Romania, for example. I have very good friends from Romania. They have fled Romania from communism, and then they came to Austria and they worked immediately. They never gotten social welfare or something, so they started to work right away in Austria, and now they are fabulous people, really good friends of us, and they are now working, one at the bank and the wife is working at a architect office. And yeah, great people. They really deserve the Austrian passport, which they now have. So most people that come here are fine people. And still, of course, a small percentage of those countries, they make, unfortunately, crime. And the crime is rising, unfortunately. So now just a few articles, what happened in the last days. So we had 2 weeks where there was knife attacks almost every day in Austria. And this is not normal for Austria, because 20 years ago, there were almost no knife attacks. So Austrian people, the natives, they do not really use a knife. So let's say if two Austrians are fighting, they use their fists and then they make up and then they go and drink a beer. So this is how the Austrians are. But unfortunately, a lot of those migrants that are coming to Austria, the criminal migrants, I mean, they are using knives. And now we had a series of bloody attacks in Vienna, knife attacks almost every day for 2 weeks. So here you can see a couple of newspaper articles in one of the hotspots in Vienna. So here 2 people were knifed in one day. Then here another knife attack in the same district. Now here there's an article about a soldier who got stabbed. He wanted to help 2 women who got molested by a perpetrator. And then the perpetrator, who happens to be Syrian, pulled a knife and stabbed the soldier. It was also at the same district again in Vienna, which is called Favoriten. Then again a bloody knife attack in Vienna. Again in this district. Oh my God, it's not stopping, guys. The rising jobs are now security workers. So we now need more securities for the bus, for the train, even for shopping cities, for shopping malls and supermarkets. So 20 years ago you could not have imagined that, because 20 years ago Austria was really safe. We never needed security. We never had security in a shopping mall or in a supermarket. And now, yeah, the jobs of securities are rising. A lot of conductors in the train are getting attacked too. So now the securities come with the conductor. So this article here is summing up really well what was happening in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So here you can see that youth gangs are terrorizing Vienna. Everybody has, is afraid of those youth gangs. And then also here, a 12-year-old girl was raped by a youth gang. Most of them have a migrant background or are migrants. Yeah, then we also had a massacre in a brothel where asylum seeker from Afghanistan killed 3 young Asian sex workers. Now actually it's already forbidden for asylum seekers to have knives, but this guy had a kitchen knife. So the knife ban did not save those poor 3 women from dying very, very brutally. Then also we had another gang rape in Salzburg. And that in a couple of weeks. And here they are saying that most of the perpetrators have a migrant background and they get younger and younger. Yeah, and then the Austrian police president is demanding a knife ban. So the government right now is apparently planning a general knife ban on weapons in public spaces. I wonder how this works out, because a terrorist or a criminal does not really abide by the law. So for example, a couple of years ago we had a terrorist attack in Vienna, and the terrorist was using an AK-47. The AK-47 is illegal in Austria, but still he got one, he acquired one, and he used it. So did the ban avoid the terrorist attack? No. So the only thing which is going to happen with this ban is that Austrians, or also migrants that behave and abide by the law, cannot defend themselves anymore. Here's an article of the mayor of Austria. He wants to have a knife ban for the entirety of Austria. It is not clear to me why anyone would be out in public with a firearm or stabbing weapon. More weapons do not mean more security, but rather more insecurity. Then the Austrian right-wing party said the proposed weapon ban for all of Austria is an expression of the ongoing helplessness in the face of criminal foreigners and will not prevent a single attack. And I have to say, I have to agree with this guy, because it's not going to prevent anything. It's just making people defenseless. Okay? I saw a video of a terrorist in France, and he was stabbing small children on the playground. And nobody, it took, I don't know, how many minutes until some guy pushed a rucksack into his face. Nobody of the parents or grandparents could defend themselves and their kids against this attacker, so their children were knifed by the terrorist. So you need some kind of good guy and reliable person to prevent such an attack, because the police cannot always protect us. Then here there's a survey in another newspaper. They were asking, should there be a general weapon ban in Austria? 33% said yes, and 62% said no. So the majority is against a weapons ban. Yeah, and then this politician also said that there should be rather push for consistent deportation of so-called threats and asylum offenders instead of bothering decent Austrians. So yeah, unfortunately, this is what's going on in Austria. It's really sad to say this, because Austria was a really safe country once. I believe 30 years ago on the countryside, we did not even lock the door in the night. So yeah, unfortunately, that's what's happening. And it's really sad. So now the Austrians have to live in fear. So they get stabbed on the street or raped. And also the good migrants here in Austria have to live in the same fear. I actually know some migrants, they say they want to go back to their old countries, because their old countries in the east of Europe are safer now than Austria. So that's really sad, because now really well integrated migrants want to leave Austria. I think this is all not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence that this is happening in all countries at once, like Germany, Sweden, France, Austria, Italy, Spain, Portugal, then also America right now. It's not a coincidence. This is all planned.